Good morning, my lovelies. Hello, how are you? And welcome. It's 8 o'clock on the dot. I don't know how I pulled that one off, but I did. It is another gloomy day. Let's just check. I think it's going to rain because, yeah. It's the 22nd day. Man, this month went by fast. Of March 2024. And, Friday's always weird for me because I never really know what to talk about on Fridays. It's like Monday and Wednesday, I've got news, and Tuesday and Thursday, I've kind of got my thing. But Friday's sort of just the day where I just kind of spitball and look to see what's on out there and what people are upset about. And yeah, this came up. And people are upset. Oh no, they sold out. Did they really? Did they really sell out? I mean, so here's the thing. I'm of mixed feelings of this. I get why people are upset that Kobold Press is putting this thing on D&D Beyond. And there's a lot of reasons to be upset, mostly for Kobold Press, not for the fan base. And it definitely links into the relationship between Kobold Press and what they said last year, Project Black Flag, Tales from the Valiant, their relationship with Wizards of the Coast, or lack thereof. I guess they've kissed and made up, because we know that they were one of the first who said, other than Kelsey, they were one of the first who said, fuck you, Wizards of the Coast. We're going to make our own thing, and we're not going to, once we fulfill our 5e contracts, we're done. We're done with you. And now it seems like they're just saying, okay, yeah, I know we said that, but what we really meant to say is we're done with you until the new contract is up and we see that, 6 figures or whatever. So this is a thing. Yeah. Now, is this going to stab them in the back because they're getting in bed with Wizards of the Coast again and D&D Beyond? Absolutely is going to stab them in the back. In the long run, this is probably a mistake. And whatever goodwill they have generated over the year since the announcement of Project Black Flag and Tales from the Valiant, they might have just cost a huge chunk of that. What little respect the OSR OGL has for them, I'm sure they've cost them that. There's a lot of people who are now going, well, wait, what about Tales from the Valiant? If you're jumping on D&D Beyond, are you giving up on Tales from the Valiant? And of course, what about Project Black Flag? Because remember, when Project Black Flag was announced, a lot of people were excited about Project Black Flag. We're waving the black flag. We're going to be pirates. We're going against Wizards of the Coast. And people are like, yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, we love Kobold Press. The stuff they do is amazing. Now, Kobold Press has always had a relationship with Wizards of the Coast and 5e. They have one of the longest. They are one of the first companies to make third-party product for 5e that I know of. I mean, there might have been somebody else, so don't get mad at me for going, no, they're not. It's like, look, they're the first that I'm aware of. There might have been somebody else. I'm just saying that from my limited perspective, they were first. And pound for pound, they're the best. I mean, I don't think we can argue that for third-party 5e product, their stuff is the best. I hear it come up all the time throughout the past 10 years of 5e. Whenever anybody's has talked about something that's not Wizards of the Coast, it's 80-90% of the time they were talking about something from Kobold. So when OGL dropped the bomb in January of last year, they already had a well-established, long-lasting relationship with Wizards of the Coast. And the first thing they said, which I think a lot of people have forgotten, is they, one, were still going to fulfill all the contracts they had for 5e before anything else. So there's the possibility that this conversion of Tomb of the Beasts to 5e to D&D Beyond already was in the pike. So that was already something that was going to happen. So you can't really get mad at them for that, because again, the very first thing they said when Project Black Flag was announced was, we're going to fulfill all the pre-existing 5e contracts that we have before anything else. Second, they never came out and said they were going to stop supporting 5e. A lot of people thought they said that they were saying, with Project Black, they were saying, fuck you, we're never going to support 5e, we're done with Wizards of the Coast. And at the beginning, it felt like that's what they were saying. In the defense of all the people who are upset today, it did sound like what they said was, fuck you, Wizards of the Coast. But then when Project the Black Flag hit the first alpha test, what they, they're like, oh, no. They did backpedal a little. They backpedal in a very, creative use of legality, which was, well, no, we never actually said that. So Project Black Flag is a thing, and it's going to be its own thing, but we never actually really said, fuck you, Wizards of the Coast, we're never going to make 5e stuff. Okay. Then a few days, weeks later, there was now there's going to be Project Black Flag, which is going to be its own thing, and you can make stuff using Project Black Flag. That's completely separate. But now we're doing Tales of the Valiant as well. And then they got behind Tales of the Valiant, and they've been pushing Tales for the Valiant pretty strong until recently. And up until this moment, my train of thought has been, as you know, if you've watched any of these videos, from the perspective of a 5e player, Tales from the Valiant is the most likely candidate, or was the most likely candidate, to pick up all the 5e players who go and look at 2024 D&D when it comes out in September and go, no, that's really not what I want to play. I kind of like what Kobold Press has done with Tales from the Valiant. I think I'll just switch to that. So they had the strongest possibility of being to use the 4E example, because that's what most of us are using. They had the best possibility of being Pathfinder to 2024 D&D. All right. They had the best possibility of steering the river away and getting anybody who didn't really feel like 5e next year was what they wanted to play. They didn't like the changes. They didn't like the offer. They didn't like, for whatever reason, that felt like the strongest contender. But then this came out, which leaves a lot of questions. It leaves a sour taste in a lot of people's minds. A lot of people who were, going, oh yeah, Tales from the Valiant, Tales from the Valiant, Tales from the Valiant, are now going, wait, what about Tales from the Valiant? Are you giving up on that? Well, what's going on? Are you going back to supporting 5e? And is everything now going to be on D&D Beyond? Why D&D Beyond when Demiplane's better? And again, that could just go back to, well, we already have a pre-existing contract to fulfill this, like we said we would. So we're doing that. Or it could be that Wizards offered them enough money for them to go, yeah, okay. I don't know. I don't know. 80% of me feels like this is what, well, one, they never said 100% completely that now that Project Black Flag and Tale from the Valiants is out, we're never going to make stuff for Wizards of the Coast again. They never said that. And two, this could have just been a fulfilled contract. Or three, they're realizing that maybe Tales from the Valiant isn't going to cut it, that they can't compete, that they don't really want to. Yeah, it could be, we already have a relationship with Wizards, and, I think everybody's forgotten, OGL. I think Wizards and, in this case, Kobold are both counting on the fact that 90% of the people have forgotten January of last year and the promises that everybody made, which leads us to today. And so we've got Project Black Flag. It's still out there. They haven't really done anything with it, but it's finished. you can go to the Project Black Flag site, download the SRD, and make stuff under the Project Black Flag Open Commons ORC SRD for anything that uses the mechanics that fall under the wherewithal of Project Black Flag. I could make a project for it right now. And it has the ORC in it. It has the SRD in it. So it could be a D&D, it could be a Tales. I mean, pretty much if it uses what we considered the OGL, you could use Project Black Flag now. So will they ever follow through and make Project Black Flag specific content? Or have they just thrown it out there and say, go ahead, do our work for us? Don't know. Don't think so. I don't think they're going to make Project Black Flag stuff. They've got their niche. There's no real reason for them to experiment and do Project Black Flag, presents Kobold Heroes or Kobold Space or Kobold Miniature Kaiju. Now, they have their niche. They know their niche. They make the best third-party 5e adjacent product. So I think they've just tossed Project Black Flag out there as the end-all, be-all of the best possible version of the ORC and the SRD. So you can use it and make shit and whatever. Then there's Tales from the Valiant, which is done. It's in the pike. Where is it? I don't know, but it's ready to go. We should see it any day now. And then I guess, will they be making product for Tales from the Valiant? Will the next Tome of Beasts have stats for Tales from the Valiant and stats for 5e? Or are they just throwing Tales from the Valiant out there and say, make your own shit? Maybe we'll make a module once a year, but we're making it open commons so you can make Tales from the Valiant shit. And are they going to stay loyal to Wizards? And then we're going to continue to see them put stuff on D&D Beyond as opposed to Demi-Plane. In the short run for them financially, great idea. In the long run, it's going to cost them respect from both sides. And it gives Wizards that in. It gives Wizards that hook back in their neck that they fought so long to get away with. Because now we've got you. We've got you under the new contract. You've signed it. Maybe you didn't read all the small print. But now, and for the future, you've given us some control over your product. And more importantly, and what's the first thing everybody's going to see when they see this announcement is this. See, people are going to forget everything else I just said for the past 13 minutes. And all they're going to see, all their brains are going to recognize and calculate and percolate on and get upset over or get condescending over is these words. Kobold Press, Tome of Beasts joins D&D Beyond. Because what they're going to hear, if you're already predisposed to being negative to anything related to D&D Beyond, you're going to hear Kobold Press sold out. And is saying, fuck you to the OSR and the OGL and every promise they made last year. And if you're pro Wizards of the Coast, if you're pro D&D Beyond, what your brain's going to hear is that condescending, ha ha, fuck you OGL, fuck you OSR. Kobold Press realizes that D&D 5e is where they need to be. So either way, this is a case of, in the short term, it's great for them because, as Drift Speed says, it's precaution. It's a parachute. If everything else fails, they've got the D&D money in, and they know the word of mouth is good enough that people will go, oh, Kobold Press, that's great. They make amazing shit, and now I can use it with D&D Beyond. So short term, sure. Money, recognizability, a little bit of safety, but long term, respect-wise, control over the product-wise, associating with Wizards of the Coast at this point in time and Hasbro at this point in time and D&D Beyond point of time, yeah, this is a mistake. because you know they've lost whatever little respect they have from the OGL OSR side of the fence. You know that the condescending pro Wizards of the Coast, pro 5e people are just going to be having a field day with this, and that's going to cost them respect, and that's going to percolate more arguments. So yeah, long run, I think this was a dumb choice. Short term, yeah, it's nothing but financially, it's a good idea. Precaution wise, it's a good idea. It gives them a safety tool in case Tales from the Valiant fails. They can still make the best third-party 5e product and just rest on their laurels and go, yeah, we know people are talking shit about us, but we don't care because we still make good product and we still made money. But yeah, long-term mistake. I think they're going to regret this in about a year from now, 2 years from now, when the post-2024 D&D shine rubs off and people really begin to realize what a fuck up it is and how fucked they are and what Wizards of the Coast really did. Then Kobold's going to be like, well, fuck. We should have listened to the OGGM. Yeah, you should listen to the OGGM. You should ignore everything I just said for the past 16 minutes. Head on over to the Red Room and buy my latest product for only $12. You want a book of beasts? You want a book of beasts? How about Wretched Beastery, written by yours truly, $12, 301 pages of OGL OSR monster goodness with absolutely no Wizards of the Coast oversight. Use my link down below. Pick up Wretched Beastery PDF for only $12. POD out in about 15, 20 days. Yeah, ignore these guys. Ignore Wizards of the Coast. Ignore this monster book. Buy mine. I will talk to you all later.